and welcome to Inside the Heart. I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving, and we're so thankful to have you all joining us. I'm Alex Fernando, and this week's episode is full of highlights from the gridiron as we had three Heart Conference teams playing in the NAIA football playoffs over the weekend. We'll also get you ready for all the upcoming NAIA soccer and volleyball action later this week. For men's soccer, Grandview, William Penn, and Mid-American Nazarene, and then we'll also have women's soccer with Missouri Valley and Mid-American Nazarene. Volleyball plays later this week with Missouri Baptist, and be sure to follow at Heart Sports News for all the latest information. Welcome to Inside the Heart. As I mentioned, it was a full weekend of NAIA football action. The second round of the playoffs are going on, and the Heart had three different teams in action on Saturday. William Penn, Grandview, and Benedictine. We're going to start with the Statesmen. They fall 53-36 against Friends University from Wichita. Friends defeats Statesmen with a strong first half performance, and William Penn, they look to be in step with the Falcons for most of the game, especially on the stat sheet. Statesmen racked up 378 total yards of offense and averaged 5.5 yards per play. Scoring came in bunches, though, as three first half fumbles really hurt William Penn, and they found themselves down 21-9 after the first quarter, 42-16 at the half. In the second half, though, William Penn outscored Friends University 20-11, but the deficit was too much to overcome. Shout out to senior running back Des Loring, the Heart North Division Offensive Player of the Year. He was dominant in his final game as a Statesman, rushing for 175 yards and a touchdown on 32 attempts, at a long of 52, and he also added another 43 yards as a receiver and a touchdown catch. Congrats to the Statesman on a fantastic season. Checking in on the top-ranked team in the land, the Vikings rolled like a snowball down a mountain, 62-20 over the University of St. Francis. Blizzard conditions didn't stop the number one team as Grandview put up nearly 500 yards of total offense, and they were well balanced with just 12 yards separating the passing attack from their rushing attack. Their defense was aggressive as always, racking up 4 sacks and forcing a fumble and a pick from St. Francis. Star quarterback Jackson Warren threw 5 touchdowns in the game with a long of 76, while Bryant Williams gashed the Cougars defense for 119 yards on just 6 carries, and he added a touchdown as well. Everyone got in on the action as Dalton Van Pelt and Isaac Kreisel both added rushing touchdowns, and Jackson Warren punched one in as well, giving him 6 total on the day. Vikings put up 35 points in the second quarter, and they never looked back. Down in the South Division, number 5 Benedictine Ravens hosted number 12 Campbellsville Tigers, and the Ravens 21-17 come back to beat Campbellsville at home and stay alive in the playoffs. Benedictine found themselves in a defensive battle as points were hard to come by in the red zone in this game. Both teams were grinding it on the ground as the Tigers, they rushed for 239 yards and Benedictine rushed for 246. A blocked punt in the third quarter brought Benedictine to within 3, and the Ravens linebacker Isaac Lopez snagged a late interception in the fourth, sealing the victory after they had taken the lead on the possession before. Both Benedictine running backs feasted on this Thanksgiving weekend as Xavier Ugorji rushed for 123 yards, 5.3 yards per carry average, and Dalton Witherspoon rushed for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns, averaging 7.9 yards per carry. This dynamic rushing duo will be difficult to stop as the Ravens move on in the NAIA playoffs. With those victories, both Grandview and Benedictine will be moving on in the NAIA playoffs into the quarterfinals. Number 7, Lindsey Wilson at 10-1. They're going to visit the number 1 team, Grandview, in Des Moines, Iowa. That's going to kick off at 12 noon on this Saturday, December 6th. Blue Raiders defeated Indiana Wesleyan 57-31 in order to advance. They come into Des Moines averaging 45 points per game while holding their opponents under 20. Grandview has some similar stats with 43 points per game of their own, and then holding teams to just over 13. This should be a great battle with best on best. Number 5, Benedictine, they're going to go on the road, but not far, to Wichita, Kansas. 1 p.m. kickoff as, again, the in-state road game. They take on the Friends University Falcons, who just knocked off fellow Heart Conference member William Penn in that second round. The Ravens look to continue their suffocating defense, holding opponents below 17 points per game while getting their offense back on track as they averaged nearly 49 points a game during the season. Friends Falcons have been on a tear offensively, dominating the ground game with 470 yards on average rushing, and they have a nation-leading 57.2 points per game. We'll see how they fare against the Ravens defense on Saturday. Out to the soccer pitch, we had 2 Heart Conference teams in action already today. The men of Grandview and the women of Mid-American Nazarene. The Pioneers, we're going to start with them. They're going to fall 1-0 to the Eagles of Oklahoma Wesleyan. A tough battle, battling the elements with some weather delays, but an own goal early in the second half did in the Pioneers. And again, it was a tough battle all the way through. Just 3 shots on goal, 8 shots total for the Pioneers, 4 shots on goal, and 6 total for Oklahoma Wesleyan. So very defensive match. It's going to go the way of the Eagles, but a great season for the Mid-America ladies. 14-4-2 on the year as they fall to the number 8 seed in the women's NAIA soccer tournament. Over to the men's NAIA National Tournament, and we have an upset. The Vikings have upset number 1 Bethel. The top seeded team goes down as the Wildcats suffer defeat 1-0 to the Vikings. Grandview gets a score in the 12th minute from Pietro Pacienza and an unassisted goal. And even though the Vikings were outshot 15-7, they held the shots on goal edge 5-4, and the Vikings will be moving on to their first ever program quarterfinal in the round of 16 in this tournament. So congrats to the Vikings, and a big upset again as they knock down the top seed for the Hart Conference represented in the men's NAIA tournament. Vikings will play on Thursday's quarterfinal game, 10 a.m. Central Time. They'll take on the winner of Cumberland's out of Tennessee or Georgia Gwinnett. Other men's soccer action to look out for: William Penn and Mid-American Nazarene both play tomorrow. William Penn in the morning against Oklahoma Wesleyan, and then Mid-American Nazarene at 1 p.m. tomorrow afternoon against John Brown University. On the women's side, we'll see the Vikings of Missouri Valley taking on the Blue Raiders of Lindsey Wilson. That'll be tomorrow evening at 7 p.m. And don't forget, tune in December 4th and 5th to watch Missouri Baptist as part of Pool E in the Women's NAIA Volleyball National Tournament. Remember, the best record out of this pool will be sent into the final stages of the tournament up in Sioux City, Iowa. Missouri Baptist playing December 4th at 10 a.m. and then December 5th at 9 a.m. As always, you can find us here every week on Inside the Heart as we air live with Urban Edge Network. You can find all of the Heart Conference action with Urban Edge Network. They are the official broadcast partner of the Heart of America Athletic Conference. UEN connects fans to live and on-demand Heart coverage, delivering unmatched access and storytelling across small college athletics. Thank you for joining Inside the Heart, and be sure to follow at Heart Sports News for all of the latest stories and updates from around the conference. Heart Conference basketball resumes and wrestling is in full swing, so we have so much action to cover for all of us at the Heart. Thank you and have a great week.